What's cracking, everyone? Friedemann Findeisen here from Holistic Songwriting. Welcome to the Artist Series, the show where we look at the biggest artists in the world and what we can learn from them. Today we're taking a good look at Eddie Shishi and Justin Corncub Bieber's I Don't Care, which is their first song where they appear together. It's not the first time that they've crossed paths, as you may well know from a Sheeran Artist Series, but it's the first time they really feature each other on a track. So let's get into it and see what we can learn from it.
I don't care, as long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere.
So right off the get-go, I have to say that I'm really not the biggest fan of the songwriting here. I think everyone is really doing a great job, and I like Ed Sheeran, I like Justin Bieber. I think the producers are doing a good job. I think the performances are great, but I do have some issues with the songwriting itself. And so some of these issues have been resolved by the acoustic version that Ed Sheeran has put out of the song, where it's just him singing. It's not because Justin isn't on the track. It's really just because I think the arrangement of it works better because we hear the full chords, and that makes it a little bit more exciting because there's just a little bit more color to it.
'Cause I don't care, long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere. You're making me feel like I'm loved by somebody.
But I think this track here, the way it was put out as a single, I'm just not quite happy with it. I don't think the song works quite as well as it possibly could. Again, this is not to discredit the writers or anyone involved with this project, because obviously they really know what they're doing and it's obviously already a hit. But I just think maybe it would be interesting to take a look at one of these songs and see where maybe it could be improved and maybe what things are not going so well. Yeah, and let's do that together. So let's start the song and see what I have to criticize.
I'm at a party I don't wanna be at, and I don't ever wear a suit and tie. Wondering if I can sneak out the back. Nobody's even looking me in my eyes.
Already we have an 8-bar section instead of a 4-bar kind of thing. So that's already kind of unusual. Doesn't have to be bad, obviously. But the chord progression that we have here is a 1-1-6-6-4-5-1-1. So, and it's in F sharp, I think. I think this goes with that. Yeah, should be an F sharp major. So, right off the get-go, that gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, because that means that if we start with 2 1s and we end our chord progression with 2 1s, that means we have 4 1s after one another. And generally, I'm already kind of hesitant of putting a 1 at the end of a chord progression. Now, it can work really well, as we've seen last week with Creedence Clearwater Revival. But I think in this case, it's just a little bit too much 1 for too long of a time. And I think the song falls flat a little bit because of that. And because it feels like every time we go back to the 1, the tension just stops. And that's really, I think, my biggest issue with the track is that there's just not enough tension to keep me invested in the song. It feels like after I've heard the first turnaround, which we've just have, I've kind of heard it all. I'm not really interested in listening to this anymore, just because it doesn't draw me in. There's no tension. There's nothing that keeps me there. It's not building towards anything. And the whole song, yes, it does build, and yes, the producers have thrown in stuff to potentially keep us invested, but it doesn't work on me because there's just not enough stuff that builds towards that. Even if we add more stuff, if we go up in hype, if the tension is missing completely. And by the way, if you're not familiar with those terms, hype and tension, you can check out my book, The Addiction Formula, which is where I explain all of this. And look here, I got it here for some reason, so you can check that out on Amazon. Since we have those general increases in hype, but we're missing the tension, and I think that's really what kills the track ultimately. So let's keep listening and see if we can spot
Can you
that.
take my hand, finish my drink, say, shall we dance? Hell yeah. You know I love you, did I ever tell you? You make it better like that. Don't think I fit in at this party.
All right, so we've just heard the first verse. And in terms of the melody writing, I think instead of kind of weaseling its way around that kind of boring chord progression, and please take everything I say in this video with a grain of salt. It's obviously my subjective experience with the song. but I want to at least explain why I feel this way about the song. So the melody here is already a one-note melody, kind of. It revolves around the one, and that I think is another problem of the song, because every time we go back to the one, the melody also goes there, and it just feels awfully resolved. There's just not enough tension to keep this going, in terms of the melodic movement. So we talked about the harmony. The harmony doesn't have enough tension, and the melody has the same issue because it keeps returning to the one. And so whenever we start another verse, it just feels like, ugh, here we go again, instead of like, ooh, what's going to happen next? It doesn't flow nicely into one another, I think. And so this second verse here starts with Ed singing again on the one, just an octave higher. And it's just not giving enough color, I think. It's just not giving enough change, enough variation, even though we're changing the pitch and we're going up in pitch, which it does increase the hype. It's just not enough variation to keep at least me going. Again, my subjective opinion. So let's keep listening.
Everyone's got so much to say. Yeah, I always feel like I'm nobody.
Going back to the one.
'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All the bad things disappear. You're making me feel that maybe I am somebody.
And so we now move into the chorus, and we hear that technique that Ed Sheeran likes to use so much, which I've talked about in my artist series on him in the past, which is doubling his vocals an octave above to kind of create a neutral sound, a neutral harmony that doesn't add any harmony. So that kind of sounds very authentic still, that but still adds that hype because we have an added second voice over on top of the original vocals, right? And here I don't think it works. And I think the technique really works well if you have some underlying chords that provide color. But here, since we don't have chords, we have a bass that indicates where the root note of the chords are, but we don't have really any harmony. It just really falls flat to me.
I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah.
And also here when we have the when I'm with my baby, yeah, ends on the one. It sounded more like a monkey than Ed Sheeran, but you get the idea. And also that ends on the one. Every time that section ends, one of those chord progressions ends, one of those 8-bar sequences, it feels like, okay, now the song is over. And then the song has to start all over again. And it feels like, oh, we're back to that. Let's do one more. And it doesn't feel like there's ever flow going into the next section. And this is even apparent in the acoustic version of the song as well.
I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah.
In the acoustic version, I think the upside that version has is that you really hear the full chords, and so there's a little bit more to hold on to. There's a little bit more harmony, a little bit more color, and so we can really hear those chords. In this case here, since the arrangement is so super sparse, which isn't, again, a problem per se, the problem here is that the chord progression is so cyclical and so doesn't have enough tension, and it doesn't have enough color here as well. That's kind of the issue that I have with this production of the song.
I don't care, as long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere. You're making me feel like I'm loved by somebody.
So we could talk about the music video here, but I think it's fairly self-evident what's going on. It's just very colorful. It's got the Dadaistic, fun vibe to it. The green screening is obviously very badly done. The whole idea behind this is, I don't care. Let's just do something ridiculous that's fun and enjoyable, and summertime.
We at a party we don't wanna be at. Trying to talk but we can't hear ourselves. Pictureless, I'd rather kiss them right back. But all these people all around, I'm crippled with anxiety. But I'm told it's where I'm supposed to be. You know what?
This little section here, where Justin comes in and does a little bit more harmony, is probably my high point of the song, because I think it really adds what the song is missing by doing those little licks and by adding in that little bit of harmony. I think that's exactly what the song needs, and I wish there was a little bit more of it in here.
When I'm with my baby, yeah, all the bad things disappear. You're making me feel like maybe I am somebody.
And listen to that backing choir here. They're singing, ooh, they're singing the root note, or they're singing the one of the key. which again, I mean, there's just no tension whatsoever because they've already resolved it because of that. The backing choir doesn't sing any harmony, none of that. So it's just, I'm really missing that tension. Maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned in that sense. I probably am, but I'm really lacking that here. Now, when I say tension, I should probably clarify that. I don't mean tension in the traditional sense necessarily, where tension is only referring to harmonic tension or melodic tension, even though that's a part of it. I'm really talking about tension as a much bigger word, and it can mean a lot more things. Again, this is explained in my book, The Addiction Formula, so I'm not going to go on about it. You might have already read it. But tension doesn't mean it has to be like, this, Stravinsky kind of like moving textures that are just like coming to resolve at some point. It doesn't have to be that complicated, really, right? But there should be some underlying tensions going on to drive us throughout the song, because it's kind of what makes us ready, or what gets us excited for the next big session, the next big section of the song, and we just don't have that here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause I don't care as long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere. You're making me feel like I'm loved by somebody.
Now, one thing I do like about the song is the bass line, which is very sparse, but has some licks in there and as well. And I think that the balance of that is done really well, because it every once in a while just like kind of has a little stab, and then it has a little bit more of a line. I think that's really quite interesting. It adds a little bit of bounciness to the track and provides some implied tension that this track really was otherwise missing, I think. Well, I mean, you could argue, I guess, that the missing harmony in itself is kind of like implied tension, that we're all kind of waiting for that moment when there is going to be a little bit more harmony. And it just never comes. It always just goes back to the one. Because it really, I mean, it's so crass here that everything is plastered with the one, that it really feels intentional. But I just don't understand why, because for me, it doesn't give me an emotional experience that I would want out of this track, I think. And maybe that's just me, maybe that's just my background and my experience with the one and my associations with that note. But it really seems as if they did that intentionally. Maybe, I don't know. So, I mean, whatever I say, they're just going to say, I don't care. So it's probably fine at the end, right?
The bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. No, I don't like nobody but you. It's like you're the only one here.
Same thing here, right? I mean, now we have this rhythmical kind of thing with the clapping, which is generally a thing I like in pop songs. But here again, da 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 da, going to the root note, so we're resolving it, da 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 da, resolving again, and so each melody is like its own small little arc, and every time one of those melodies ends, it feels like, okay, full stop, like we've come to an end. Let's start over. Okay, da 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 da. Okay, end. Da 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 da. End of the story. Da 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 da, and it just keeps going, and it feels like it's really overstaying its welcome because of that, even though the song is just 3 minutes 40 seconds long, which I think is already too long probably for this kind of song. It just feels like it's starting over and over and over again.
I don't like nobody but you, baby. I don't care, baby. I don't care.
Which is like going from the 5 to the 1, which is even crazier in terms of the harmonic implications that we have here, because it's more of we have now a 5-1, which is a dominant tonic kind of resolution in the melody, which even cements the 1 in even further, and it makes it even a more important note in this melody. And so I don't understand it, it might just be my stupidity or my ignorance, but I just don't understand why they made those decisions for the song.
Don't like nobody but you. I hate everyone here. I don't like nobody but you, baby.
What I think is pretty cool is actually that little build up here at the end of the bridge, where we have the clinking and the noise of like dinner guests that's kind of increasing and then just cuts out before the last chorus. We talked about that a little while ago, I think with the Slipknot video, where like right before your chorus you cut everything out so that the chorus comes in even harder, and that's kind of what they're doing here with a nice little build up here before that. They could have just used like a noise sweep, like a but they chose to do that, which I think is much more thematic and a smart move by the producer. And I really like that. I think it's a really creative and smart decision here.
As long as you just hold me near, you can take me anywhere. You're making me feel like I'm loved by somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby.
I mean, it even ends on the one. It starts on the one, it ends on the one. The instruments, I mean, and all the melodies start and end on the one. And then the chord progressions all start and end on the one. And all the choirs start and end on the one. So I don't understand it. Maybe you guys can help me. If you feel like you know what's going on here, please comment below. And please explain to me why these decisions were made here for this song. Because I honestly don't understand it. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. The usual, you know. And also, if you want to send in questions for me to answer or send in songs for me to review, you can do that because I do a live stream every single week on Patreon. So just head over to Patreon. The link is in the description and sign up there. That's pretty much it. Thanks so much for listening. Take care and stay gefährlich.